videos, it was like, how dare you criticize Muslim men? I'm sorry, are Muslim men a protected group who are free from criticism? What do you mean, how dare we criticize them?
Okay, I end up on Muslim TikTok a lot, and I have a question for Muslim women. Are all Muslim men just like that, or is it like a specific TikTok breed? Because it is so bad. I am constantly squaring up in the comment section with the way they police every single thing y'all do. I saw this woman jokingly talking about how the wind blew off her hijab, and this dude in the comments was like, don't expose your sins. What sins? Or the backpack conversation about if you're allowed to wear a backpack or if it exposes your shape too much. What is wrong with y'all? Like, I have a whole notes app list of the weird shit I've seen them say on this app, and I think the weirdest one has to be when someone said being black was haram. What is wrong with y'all? Or God forbid they're wearing a hijab, because then it's not enough. Either there's too much hair showing, or you should be covering your face as well. Who asked for your opinion? Who asked? Okay, I just checked my list, and being black is haram is actually not the craziest thing on there. There was this instance where this woman was talking a lot about being Muslim because people were asking her questions, and this guy in the comment goes, women are not allowed to be teachers, you should not be educating them, that is not allowed, that is haram. Like, huh?
Okay, I'm not a Muslim, and I'm not going to talk about Muslim culture, obviously, based on my appearance and how I'm dressed, because yeah, my color of my skin is haram, right? However, that's not the base of this conversation, because I'm not even religious like that. Because this is a separate entity on its own self. Now let's get to the base of why I even stitched this video. Today I saw a video of a Spanish girl, but it keeps on trending in the news of saying she's Brazilian, she is Spanish, she's parlo, she's speaking Spanish. I almost said it in Italian, like parlo italiano, but no, she's speaking hablo. I think it's hablo española. So yeah, this girl, Spanish, married, loves to travel countries, and she's been to different countries all over the world. And suddenly, unfortunate case happened to her and her husband where they were traumatized and all of those things. So horror happened to them, like horror. They were the R-word, and the woman and the man was held, and he had to watch when his wife was armed by these men, Indian men. Now here's the thing, right, where India and Muslim comes into play. So the people were saying, okay, she went to Afghanistan and nothing happened to her, and she met the tribal man, I'm not sure about the pronunciation, and nothing happened to them. But they went to India because they're not Muslim anymore, is now becoming the capital, the R-word of the world's capital. So they are now practicing Hinduism, as because they moved away from Muslim. That is why things of sort are happening in India. They do not respect women. I was like, oh my God, you cannot be talking about the respect of women, considering how you treat black women, considering how you treat your own women, considering how your culture literally strikes women down. What are you talking about? If you want to talk about crime being crime and we should fight it, then let's talk about it. I guess one of the reasons why I did not want to even be involved in India and in this stuff is because India, their people, some of them once told me that they civilized Africa. But that's by the way. So I was like, oh my God. And like the lady said, the wind blows away the hijab, it's haram. She is not well presented, is haram. She starts talking, is haram. She is not dating Muslim men, is haram. But the color needs to be specific. So if it's not specific, it's haram. It feels like you guys are policing a lot, you're doing too much. You suppress women, you don't want women to talk about their own issues because it's haram. And That is what Muslim is gonna do. Gatekeep the R word. Is that what you're telling us, Muslim people? I just want to understand. What are you saying when you use this haram word loosely? What are you saying that Hinduism is bad? What do you mean? And if we had to talk about the things that you have done, I might have a heart attack. From you trafficking people, longer than it being of the European slave trade, it continued even to recent date, okay? Longer than the European slave trade, because you guys taught them. You did the most in Africa. You taught them what they know. And you want to talk about discipline, you want to talk about mannerism. I don't understand religion. I don't understand it. And that's the thing that plays in my mind, that Hinduism is bad. Really? That this is why India is the way that it is. They moved away from God. What? I guess you're like, yeah, this is gonna keep happening if you don't move into Muslim again. They moved away from Muslim. I mean, I don't want to even get into Dubai situation. I don't even want to talk about that country. Really, it's out for me. But it shows just how much you guys are willing to silence people, and you use your religion and make it look like it's the better one, when we know the things that you do. So I'm shocked. I am truly, truly shocked. But let's take it from the perspective of a Muslim woman, shall we?
Are all Muslim men just like that, or is it like a specific TikTok breed?
I have been debating making this video for like 5 days in a row, but honestly, why not? And this is probably going to end up being a really long video, so fair warning. I think it was last week, a Muslim woman posted a picture of herself and her baby bump is like 33 weeks, so I'll put it in, but she's wearing the hijab, but she's wearing an abaya and her face is covered by her holding her phone. This is the picture in question. And when I first saw it, I genuinely didn't think anything of it. It's just, she's 33 weeks, she's pregnant, it's great, whatever. Unfortunately, Muslim Twitter, if you've been on it for like less than a minute, is a absolute cesspit. The quote tweet on this original tweet, I don't even want to say some of these out loud, I'm going to put them up. She got these kind of quote tweets, things of this variety, stuff like this. The kind of sexualized, dehumanizing, and genuinely just degrading comments people were making was shocking, even for me. And I'm a veteran when it comes to Muslims acting crazy online. This tweet and like the response basically made the rounds, and then eventually when other Muslims, both men and women, were like, what are you talking about? What is this behavior? And especially when non-Muslims were like, what is going on? Suddenly people were changing their tune. I really want to emphasize the point that it wasn't really when Muslims were like, guys, what are we doing? It was when non-Muslims were like, what is this behavior? As far as I can tell, she's pretty covered and it looks modest to me. There were Muslims who were tweeting and who were like, I am interested in Islam and sometimes I want to learn more, but like the way women are policed online or like the treatment of women in general by other Muslims is what puts me off. Suddenly then people were telling her to delete the tweet, saying she was causing fitna. And I feel like a lot of these people really think that we're dumb, because there are people who are like, oh, we have an issue not with the fact that she's pregnant, but with the fact that like the hijab that she's wearing isn't modest enough. And a lot of these people really think that we're stupid, because suddenly it's not her pregnancy bump that's the problem. It's the fact that the hijab or the outfit that she's wearing isn't modest enough. Oh, it's the fact that she's posting herself online. But every single one of those disgusting quote tweets was about her pregnancy bump. Nasty, horrid, sexualized comments. Don't change the story now. Don't flip the script. The sister who posted it said, I'm not deleting the tweet. You were bold enough to post it. You were bold enough to comment it. It's going to be up there forever, as you should. She said, your words don't deserve the privilege of privacy. May you never escape them. And what was especially sad to me is like this sister is a revert. She's someone who's changed her entire life to convert to Islam. And this is the kind of behavior that she's receiving from other Muslims. There were people going so far as to take and edit her picture and then post it onto Reddit to kind of justify the things that people were saying, making her look less modest, which is genuinely such an insane thing to do. But I digress. And then there were people who were saying things like, oh, I say this, there were Muslim men on Twitter who were saying things like, oh, well, she should delete it because now look, there's non-Muslim men who are sexualizing her. Who did it first? If they hadn't commented on her tweet and her picture, it would have just been a happy pregnancy post that nobody would have paid attention to. They sexualized the entire conversation. They harassed her, and now they want to turn around and complain about what other men are doing. The creator that I stitched is essentially like, all I ever see is Muslim women getting policed online, getting harassed online by Muslim men. Backpacks are haram. Now it's the pregnancy bump. A year or two ago, it was you can't show your face online. We can't hear your voice because your voice is older. I'm somebody who's been using TikTok regularly, maybe say 2 years, and even in those 2 years, the increase in the kind of videos that have like a disgusting blend of Islam and misogyny, these podcast bros, has increased significantly. It feels like every other week they're doing something else that makes us all look bad. And when this was eventually brought over to TikTok by other creators who were posting about it, and by this video that the creator iStitch made, there were a lot of interesting comments from Muslims. There were people who were commenting. I saw one that was actually hilarious. It was like, how dare you criticize Muslim men? I'm sorry, are Muslim men a protected group who are free from criticism? What do you mean, how dare we criticize them? There were a lot of comments who were like, oh, well, this is like not a non-Muslim's business. Why do we care what the kuffar think? Which is so funny to me because these are probably the same people who engage in da'wah. Well, how effective it is when they have that kind of mindset, I don't know, but they think da'wah's good, they think it's important, but also who cares what the kuffar think? And it's literally the hypocrisy, because whenever we talk about the hijab, whenever we talk about Muslim women, whenever we talk about modesty and hayat, it's always kind of conversation of, oh, well, you're representing Islam. Like the first time I put the hijab on, you're told you're a representative of Islam, you reflect Islam, you reflect Muslims. You know, especially on this app, if we see a Muslim woman and she's wearing a hijab and she's doing something she shouldn't be doing, all of the comments are going to say you're disrespecting hijab, you're not like appropriately like representing Muslims, you're making us look bad, you're making Islam look bad. But the moment men do something, the moment they act a fool online, suddenly it's who cares what the kuffar think? Should we as Muslims not want a positive representation of Islam, of Muslims as a whole? Do men not also represent Islam? Men with beards, men sitting there in thobes, men with Muslim names. One of the guys who left one of the nasty quotes that I showed earlier, his name's literally Ibrahim. And then somebody searched his account and found, 200 like quote tweets and like tweets himself about breasts and how much he loves breasts. So Ibrahim cares about how women represent Islam, but it's fine for him to make disgusting tweets like that, engage in basically pornography on the TL, that's fine. Our tweets do not exist in some kind of vacuum, neither do our TikToks. The things we say online paint an image of Muslims to people who are not Muslim. My sister, literally I think this was in December, this 19-year-old girl she works with, white girl from South London, came up to her and was like, oh, is it true Muslim women aren't allowed to wear coats? After that whole coat over your abaya debacle. All Muslim men like this do, which is not all of them. I'm never going to say all Muslim men are like this, online or offline, because, I tell the truth. But this specific breed of men who on TikTok and even Twitter are just insidious, all they do is perpetuate the stereotypes that women fight against and other Muslim men. I can say that I wear hijab of my own free choice, of my own volition. I can say there's no compulsion in Islam. But every man who's out there harassing women for not wearing the hijab or for not wearing it properly, all they do is undo the work that Muslim women do every day. And I'm never going to say that Muslims are the reason for Islamophobia, but they perpetuate Islamophobia. Give them stuff to go off of. The number of Muslim women who agree with the video that I stitched, who face misogyny, especially online, is astounding. And instead of as Muslims, instead of as a community looking inwards and being like, we need to do something about this deep-rooted misogyny and these podcast bros, instead we're online talking about how dare kuffars have an opinion. People will have an opinion about Islam. And if you don't want people to have a negative opinion about Islam, don't be acting a fool online or in person, in real life. It seems that it's fine when Muslims make a joke about it. It's fine when we notice the problem amongst ourselves. I don't know if you guys remember around Christmas time or like New Year, it was like that trend going around of pretending to be podcast bros. Like, sister, when you breathe is haram. So it's fine when we acknowledge it, but God forbid non-Muslims notice it. Not only do these men do genuine harm to Muslim women and to Muslim men and people who are Muslim right now, they do harm to people who are interested in Islam, who are thinking about converting, who want to know more about the deen. And I'm genuinely so tired of fighting against stereotypes that they keep pushing against Muslim women. Every time I see a video and it's a man sitting there in a thobe and he says sister, my initial reaction is, Because how many of these so-called sheikhs, we use that word far too loosely, by the way, sit there and infuse misogyny with Islam, and how many times is it going to happen again and again and again? One of the reasons I've been feeling so demotivated about posting on TikTok is just because it's just the same day over and over again. Give it 4 weeks, there'll be another scandal of Muslim men behaving badly online. And people post TikToks and quote tweets, but nobody ever does anything about the real problem, and they just go at it again and again and again. So it's not all men, but unfortunately online it's far too many men. And honestly, for one, I'm really sick of it. Completely forgot to mention, somebody took the TikTok, the one I've literally just stitched from this creator, and then thought it was a good idea to post it on Twitter. And then she just received an influx of nasty rape threats, death threats, disgusting DMs, which, I mean, is giving rocks between the ears, wallahi. Way to just further her point. Disgusting shit, man.
Looks good. The comments are very interesting. I mean, she looks good. I mean, we can all agree that she looks amazing. But the people were like, she looked lovely, was sharing a happy moment for her family. What is wrong with people? Like, what is wrong with Muslim men? That's the thing I can think of myself. Because isn't she supposed to create life, to produce the legacy for the Muslim community? Because soon you begin complaining that women are not procreating, and when they do, you police them, you tell them that let us know that your husband is taking it raw. Like, at this point I just avoid Muslim TikTok, cause voila, it's making me our community and Muslim men. Like, I just can't engage. And then you're gonna blame it on who? Christian men? I think the coddling of Muslim men is ridiculous, and these adults being this outrageous. I think the same too, sincerely and honestly. As a non-Muslim person, whenever I see posts of women, it's always filled to brim of Muslim men being insufferable. Muslim men are either down low or H creatures. It's that 1% you encounter the perfect Muslim men. Exactly. The rest of them are just trash, basically. It's like everything about them, they are always like thinking about them, like, protect me. Like, if I see you, immediately I'm up. I need to react. Really? And that's my problem. It's my problem that when you don't have self-respect, you don't love yourself. Already when you see her, you're imagining things in your mind. You're a Muslim man, you want to talk about mannerism, you want to talk about dress code. But I digest. Wait, isn't it creating a life a good thing? That's exactly what I was asking myself. Like, isn't it a good thing? And she is dressed so well, so perfectly. The worst thing is I've seen with inclined Muslim men on Twitter editing pictures of Muslim women using AI as a way to show them why they shouldn't post pictures. I digest. The same Muslim men in Dubai be bringing Instagram models to Dubai to do the most insufferable things to them. I digest. Muslim men are the biggest obstacle to growing the Ummah. Muslim men only care about treating us with respect when it comes to using us as PR for Islam to encourage new converts. This is why The thing is, I'm a black person. I see how they treat black people. Okay? That's why I also tell black people that these things are not ours. These religions, they are not ours. I don't know how many times I'm supposed to say this. They'd be like, oh, well, a black man. Well, this because they involve themselves in things that they shouldn't have been involved in. Christianity alike. Yep, these Muslim men are the reason why non-Muslim are constantly saying we are oppressed. Why? Because of their disgusting behavior. Men are all the same, no matter their religion, race, ethnicity, etc. They always criticize women for nothing, all of them. I fear lots of red pill non Muslim men are converting because they see how much safe space they can have within the Muslim community. Done. That's it. And this is why I'll never convert to any religion, because they are safe to do that. Muslim space gives them the security to ensure that they can do whatever they want and they will get away with it. Exactly. And I just my point.
I thought I made myself clear in the video that I posted a couple of hours ago, but apparently not. So I'll say it here and now, once and for all, for all the people who leave comments on my page whenever I talk about misogyny from Muslim men, who leave comments talking about, oh, but you're making Muslims look bad and you're giving things for, Islamophobes to use against Muslims. I really don't give a fuck. The amount of those comments that I got on that last video is literally astounding. I cannot explain to you how much I don't care. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I probably did care. It's come to the point where I actually could not care less if you paid me. These same people who want to comment about Islamophobia and the optics of making Islam look bad are the same people who never have anything to say about misogyny. You know what makes Muslims look bad more than women talking about their experience with misogyny? Misogyny. Men beating their wives, men killing their daughters, men refusing to send their young daughters to school. A specific breed of Muslim men online who do nothing but harass and police women for showing too much hair, not wearing the hijab properly, being pregnant, as per my last video. If they really cared about the way that Islam was portrayed, or at the very least the way Muslims were represented, they would care about those people. And to be honest, you should care about misogyny against Muslim women outside of optics and outside of what non-Muslims think about Islam. But if you care about optics, that's what you should care about. This is a talking point that exists solely to shut women up and to keep them quiet. You can't talk about misogyny because it makes Muslims look bad, even though they're the ones committing the misogyny against you. And you can't talk about misogyny because Islamophobes will use that as a reason to be Islamophobic against other Muslims, despite the fact that even if you don't talk about your experiences, their misogyny is still there for Islamophobes to see and to use to further stereotypes. And that's the solution, because how many comments do I get a day from Muslim men saying, oh, well, you're too opinionated. I got one the other day that said, you're too opinionated, misogyny is always going to be around, all this complaining is not going to change anything. So you think we should just shut up and be silent and let men do whatever and never complain? Perhaps that's acceptable to you. Maybe you don't care about women. Maybe you don't care about women who are murdered or abused or mistreated. I do. I'm under no illusions that my TikTok is somehow going to end misogyny amongst Muslims or amongst people in general. But it's my account where I talk about things that I care about, things that concern me, and if you don't like it, jog on. If even one person sees my TikTok and changes their view on something, that's enough for me. And even if that doesn't happen, there are Muslim women who DM me who say, I love your account. It makes me feel like I'm not alone. You have all these opinions that I agree with, that I never hear anybody else talking about. And you know what? That's enough for me. It's literally so insidious that not only are you the victim of misogyny, you're just not allowed to speak on it because, oh no, what if an Islamophobe sees it? As if the bad behaviour, as if the haram behaviour of Muslim men isn't all across this app and every other app. So many of the comments, if it's not just shut up, you're never going to change anything, it's a variation of, well, Islam gave women their rights, and that's it. I made this same point in a video months ago, but I'm going to reiterate it now. Islam gave women their rights, and then what? What's next? What's coming after that? So many people, when it comes to conversations about misogyny and Muslims, seem to think that, oh, Islam gave women their rights is the end point of the conversation, when really and truly it should be the starting point. I'm going to include a tweet I saw the other day because I feel like it fits in here. Islamic rights for women and others exist only in a metaphysical, suspended state unless they're brought down to earth, i.e. institutionalized, put into laws, community values and ethos, etc. The effort is up to us, especially those, I don't have my glasses on, especially those who call themselves community leaders. I don't think there's a single Muslim among us who will disagree that Islam gave women rights, but if those rights aren't upheld, if they're not put into practice, what are we talking about? It genuinely feels like a cop-out. People feel like they can say Islam gave women rights and that's it. They don't have to do anything else. They don't have to correct anybody. They don't have to learn anything themselves. Someone commented on my most recent video that some Muslims use it almost as a tagline for new reverts and they just never talk about it again, never do anything for those rights ever again. Someone literally commented on a video that I posted, I think a week or two ago, about 3 women who died by femicide. So they killed, I think, all 3 of them by their husbands in Somalia. Talk about We need to educate men on the rights of women. Do you think that all of these Muslim men who commit these horrific acts don't know that women have rights? Even if he doesn't think women have rights, he knows murder's haram. Everybody knows murder's haram. It's not simply a matter of knowing women's rights. That's the starting point, sure. It's enforcing those rights, it's protecting those rights. But instead of doing anything about that, there's a specific breed of Muslims who rather just bitch in my comment sections. It's actually shameful.
By the way, I'm fully dressed. So just imagine if I was a Muslim, how that would turn out. I'm glad I don't subscribe to any religion.